Good morning, everybody. Stephan, Tanda, DSM. We do a lot of things, but for the purposes here, are engaged in a lot of public partnerships, helping to address malnutrition, amongst others, with the World Food Program, but dozens of other organizations. And we impact about 20 million people today. I'm going to stick with your tradition with the phrase, and the phrase I will say is doing well by doing good. In many circles in the development community, the involvement of the private sector is often seen as with great suspicion. But if our experience over the last 10 years has been anything, that without the private sector, it is very difficult, if not impossible, to have sustainable solutions. Because unless it is a market mechanism that works, donations, philanthropy goes away, but a sustainable market solution prevails. To the topic of resilience, of course we're talking about resilience to drastic change shocks. I would like to use a different word, health. A healthy system, healthy people, a healthy economy, a healthy food system are resilient to shocks. Let me start with the healthy people. Of course, Secretary General talks about the triple burden of malnutrition. I just want to focus on one window, the 1,000-day window, because that's really new over the last 6 years. Since the Lancet series in 2008, we know nutrition of the mother before conception, at conception, pregnancy, and up to 2 years of age is the critical window. If you miss certain periods, and sometimes these periods of development are only a few weeks, and there is not the right nutrition, the child is set on a different trajectory for life. And that cannot be changed later on. Think about this as a parent. In that 1,000-day window, a trajectory for mental development, physical development, resilience to disease is so basically baked in. We have to focus on a lot of things in nutrition and food, but for sure we have to focus on the 1,000-day window. Now, as you know, the scaling up nutrition movement has been very successful in going after this. There are now 50 countries signed up, Ethiopia, of course, being one of them. The situation as it is cannot continue. We have to make sure this 1,000-day window is hit. And there, of course, comes in a healthy food system. A healthy food system that is not only faced with climate change, but also with increasing urbanization. Africa is one of the most rapidly urbanizing continent in the world. Urbanization rates will go well above 50%, which means the food system, the value chain has to be set up. We cannot only look at the farmer, but grain processors, storage, food processing, and distribution. We need a much more robust food system. And guess what? That's where the private sector again comes in. Because this origination, storage, processing involves the private sector. And to be resilient, it needs to be at the local level. It needs to be at the country level. And there we start to gain quite some experience on working with governments and the private sector in different countries in helping to set up these value chains, where you then can really go to scale and have a real impact on healthy people, healthy food system, and a healthy economy. And of course, this can be a virtuous cycle, but it can also be a vicious cycle. In the end, private sector is a partner in making this happen. Nothing happens in food without the government. The government has to set policies, the government has to set standards, the government has to help with education. But in terms of fulfilling it, the private sector is very important, and doing well by doing good is not a bad thing.